apparent disagreements between the two sides on the fate of hundreds of inmates. Major questions remain over the fate of Bagram's prison. More than 3,000 inmates, including around 50 foreigners, not covered by the agreement. The Afghan government ruled out any question of a delay to the handover, to be marked by a ceremony at what's officially called the Parwan detention facility, which is adjacent to the US base of Bagram, north of Kabul. Joining me from Kabul is our correspondent Jonathan Beale. I think that ceremony has now taken place, Jonathan.
Yes, and it does mark the official transfer of Parwan detention facility to the Afghans from the Americans. That said, the Americans making clear they're going to hold on to a bit of that prison and that they are still holding on to a number of detainees, scores of detainees. They picked up 600 detainees since March, since when this agreement was signed to hand over the prison, and those, as we understand, are not being handed over immediately. Indeed, the Americans, the crux of the disagreement is the Americans saying that they still have a right to pick up detainees on what they say is the battlefield, and then to question those detainees, the Afghans believing that those detainees should be handed over within 72 hours. Now, I'm joined by Hekmat Karzai, who's from an Afghan think tank, the Centre for Conflict and Peace Studies. Is this progress?
In my opinion, yes, it is a step in the right direction. To have 3,100 detainees transferred to Afghan security forces, it's a positive step, but there are a lot of obstacles that still need to be addressed, and there are a lot of legal questions that need to be answered.
Why aren't the Americans handing over all the detainees to the Afghans?
Well, in my opinion, I think the Americans believe that they have a strategic interest in making sure that they are able to maintain certain detainees in DFID, particularly because the argument is that while they have troops on the ground, it's very difficult to release these people. But at the same time, on the Afghan side, one needs to realize that it's a question of sovereignty, and that needs to be really respected while they're operating in Afghanistan.
But for the Americans, it's an issue of trust. I understand that they are not sure if they hand over, say, high-value detainees, what would happen to them? Could they escape? Could they be released? I mean, corruption's still an issue in this country.
Well, it's unfortunate that after 11 years of this partnership, where we have signed a strategic agreement with the United States, where it's an MOU, we're still talking about issues of trust. The United States needs to be able to trust the Afghan as partners. Yes, there are issues of capacity which they can jointly address.
There are human rights groups saying that their concerns, the Afghans and the Americans, have made a secret agreement to detain some of these individuals without judicial review, without a legal process. In other words, suggesting that this could become a Guantanamo in Afghanistan. Is that a concern that you share?
Absolutely. I think the administrative detention or internment, that's how it's referred to, it's unconstitutional in Afghanistan. And most Afghans are quite concerned because it allows either Afghan authorities or foreign authorities to be able to hold someone without any due process, without any kind of prosecution. So it's completely concerning to the Afghans to be able to deal with this in a timely manner.
Hekmat Karzai, thank you very much. As I said, that official ceremony, we understand, has now taken place, but clearly still disagreements between the Afghans and the Americans about some of those individuals being held at that detention facility.
Jonathan Beale in Kabul, thank you very much indeed. Sally is here with all the business.